Have you ever had to leave the comfort of your favourite toilet for a dangerous ride in the back of a pickup truck? That was my life before HubSpot.
I don't suppose many of you have a favourite toilet. I do. It's in Tajikistan and has a beautiful view of the Afghan mountains at night. My life there was comfortable. Didn't have a lot of running water. Electricity was on and off at times, but it was home. So when my friends and colleagues approached and said they were doing a trip to Afghanistan to train nurses, local nurses, and they needed a male chaperone for cultural reasons, I was not inclined to say yes. I was happy where I was, and I didn't want to go to what I considered a war-torn country. And so it took a bit of persuasion, but eventually I did go to the local market and hire a pickup truck, which we then drove 6 hours down to Afghanistan in. I was in the back, in the bed, on very dusty mountains, feeling every bump and jolt on the way and looking down into the rivers below thinking, am I going to fall into this one? But we made it 6 hours to the Afghan border, and that was as far as we got, because as we approached, a border guard came out, flagged us down, and told us we weren't going any further. You tell stories every day as well. Maybe not stories like that, but you're telling stories about your business to each other internally every day. Throughout this series, I'm going to demonstrate to you the ways in which you can use HubSpot to transform your data and tell the stories that you want to tell. And I'm going to highlight all of this with stories from my life before HubSpot. Because HubSpot is the key to all this. Why? Because good stories requires good data. And good data comes from using an easy-to-use CRM. That CRM is HubSpot. What wasn't easy was getting into Afghanistan past that border guard. And it turns out what he was looking for was a small piece of paper which had been given to me a year ago at the Dushanbe airport. It was an entry ticket, so to speak, and an exit ticket. Without it, I wasn't allowed to leave the country. All I remember about that piece of paper was that it looked like a bee because it was sponsored by some bee-themed mobile company. But I didn't have it, and I certainly wasn't driving all the way back home 6 hours along those mountain roads to get it, because even if I got home, I wasn't sure where it was. And there really was only one other option. So the border guard knew that, and he called me into his little office and sat me down and opened a drawer in his desk, and he motioned towards it. Didn't say anything, not that I would have understood him if he had. But I knew what to do. He was looking for a bribe, and my moral compass went spinning. But there was only one option. And whatever you think about bribes, I made the decision in the moment that it was best to pay it. So I took out a note from my pocket, from my wallet, and put it in the drawer. I thought that would be it. And he just looked at me and motioned as if to say, is that it? So I put another note in. And eventually, it was enough. And he led us through. He waved us on through. We got into Afghanistan. We spent several days training local nurses to do their job. We feel like we brought some good, despite the bribe, into the world, and even managed to see some wild camel on the drive back. I got back to Tajikistan, and I went back to my life of comfort with my favorite toilet. Getting into HubSpot is significantly easier than getting into Afghanistan. So if you want to tell good stories with good data, get HubSpot, because you won't have to bribe your team to use it.